I'll second it.
Second by Mr. Dern. All those in favor?
Aye.
Oh, I'm sorry. Mr. Thomas.
Certainly, the payables from the general fund requiring council approval, $157,931.42. Payables from the street improvement fund requiring council approval, $2,099.52. Debt service payments from the street improvement fund, $13,296.33. Payables from the fire fund requiring council approval, $32,436.39. Debt service payments from the fire fund, $4,106.25. Payables requiring council approval from the debt service fund, $173,364.11. Payables requiring council approval from the capital improvement fund, $39,247.93. Payables from the flood mitigation fund requiring council approval, $21,115.33. Payables requiring council approval from the Emergency Medical Services Fund, $2,447. Payables requiring council approval from the 2019 Bond Fund, $623,426.03. And finally, purchasing card direct vendor payments, Westmoreland Sanitary Landfill, $167,440.10. Miscellaneous borough purchases of $736.22 for a total payables to be approved of $1,237,646.63.
Thank you, sir. Having received a motion and a second, would you vote to approve the expenses for the month of October? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Motion to approve the minutes of the October 13th, 2021 council meeting minutes.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Doyle.
Second.
Second by Mr. Hadley. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Recognition of achievements in the community. Mayor Slagle.
Thank you. I have basically three things this evening. One, the high school boys soccer team made it to the semifinals, as well as the girls soccer on Saturday. They made it to the WPIAL semifinals. Great job by both of them. Second, this is 2 years in a row. Hopefully next year they'll be able to go all the way. And thirdly, I had the pleasure of escorting 7 young people from Plum here to State College for the Pennsylvania Elks State Association soccer shoot. They all had a great time. They all made Plum proud, but a couple of them fell short from going on as state champions to the regional shoot. So I want to thank all the parents and the children that participated. That's all I have at this time, sir.
Thank you, Mayor. Civic announcements.
Good evening, everyone. First, I just want to say, in October, the library held a trunk or treat at the library, and we partnered with a community center this year, and we had a great time. We had more than 100 people in attendance, and we want to thank everyone who came out to this fantastic event. The community center was a great addition. They had snacks, games, and crafts after they got all the candy from us, and probably more down there. So that was held in October. And also at the library right now, we have a holiday gift basket raffle taking place until December 1st, and the baskets include various holiday items. We also have a basket of cheer that contains wine, so you can stop by and grab your tickets. In addition, we have a table of a lot of handcrafted items, and all proceeds benefit the library, and that'll be there until December 1st. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Good evening, Tom Banta, Assistant Chief Renton Volunteer Fire Department, here to give you a monthly report. January through October, Renton Volunteer Fire Departments responded to 484 calls, 271 fire calls, and 213 QRS calls. In the month of October, we responded to 51 calls, 30 fire calls, and 21 QRS calls. The top 3 fire calls for the month were motor vehicle accidents, followed by automatic fire alarms, and we responded to 4 fires. Our average time to call en route is 3 minutes, which has improved from last month. It takes us an average of 4 minutes to arrive on scene, and we're on scene for an average of 29 minutes. We did have one training session with multiple other departments hosted by Oakmont. We had a fire pump operations 2 training, where our pump operators pumped multiple engines into each other. We pumped into an aerial, and then we also drafted, which is pulling water from the river. That's where we did it from. Community service, we had two events, trunk or treat event at Civic, and we were able to get 3 vehicles out for Halloween. As far as purchases, we were able to use money that we received from fundraising to purchase AEDs. We purchased the same AEDs used by Plum EMS and the Plum Police Department, so we have interoperability with our equipment. We still do have 100 or so CO detectors left, so if anyone needs them, please stop by and see us. We did have a nice save with a CO detector. A resident of Renton received one of our detectors. It went off. He brought the detector to the station, which is not always recommended. It's always better to call. But nevertheless, we were able to respond to his home. His furnace was leaking and probably saved his life by doing that. So CO detectors are great. If anyone needs one, again, we still have 100 or so left. Thank you.
Thanks, Tom.
For the Plum Senior Community Center, we have a bingo, a winter bingo coming up on December 11th, Saturday, December 11th. Doors open at 11:30. Early bird games start at noon. Tickets are $25 in advance. You call the center. You can pay right over the phone. We'll save you a seat. First 150 people, I'll guarantee a seat for. So we can handle everyone. We have the jackpot at $500, and we have 4 specials we'll run in between that'll pay $100 each. With any good game of chance, also, before I get into that, this is for proceeds will benefit the community center and Plum EMS to thank them for all they've done, especially recently with COVID and offering the COVID shots. We really thank them, and hopefully we'll be able to make a lot of money for them. But like any other game of chance, if you need practice, the center is offering every Monday bingo at noon. You can come and play. We play 15 games. It costs $10 to play, and each game pays $5. And we have a jackpot that pays $50, I believe. Don't hold me to that one. I'm not sure. I don't have it written down what that does. Oh, I'm sorry, jackpot. I do have it written down. It pays $25. And any questions? Hope to see everybody there.
Thank you. Any other civic announcements? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on with our agenda to President's comments. I just had 2 items that I wanted to bring up as part of my President's comments. The first was related to the operation of the injection well here in Plum. I had the pleasure of attending a meeting, both myself, Councilman Vento, Mayor, and Paul Dern. We attended a meeting on October 26th for residents who were concerned about their well water being impacted by the injection well. I think it's no secret to anyone that no one supports the injection well that's operating here in Plum. We did attempt to fight that legally all the way up through the Commonwealth Court, and unfortunately, the judge did not decide in our favor, which is why the injection well is currently here. However, the impact that it's starting to have on residents is just simply not acceptable. Therefore, we had a meeting to talk to some of the residents so they could start providing us with some specific details relative to those impacts, and one of those impacts is their well water. We already have 2 residents who have had their well water and the waters of the surrounding creeks tested by Duquesne University, and it already shows that there's some problems there. We brought in some subject matter experts from Frac Tracker Alliance, Mr. Matt Kelso, as well as Protect PT, Jillian Graber, and they provided some educational resources for the residents on some of the things that they can do relative to the injection well operating in their area. There were some questions that a number of the elected officials who were present fielded with respect to the operating hours of the injection well and some of the noise concerns, as well as issues associated with air quality. All of these are problems that we're starting to see for those residents that live in the vicinity of the injection well. So there's some things that we had identified relative to some actions that we want to take. The first one was related to getting some type of central information resource put in place for residents to obtain information on what they can do, especially for those that are in close proximity to the injection well, and also the ability to contact the borough in the event that they notice things that just don't seem right with respect to their operations, so that we can start getting engaged before the problems take place. We do plan on having a follow-on meeting. We haven't set a date for that, but we will, once we develop the informational resource on the website, we will post that date, and those residents who are interested in attending or feel they may have been impacted in any way, shape, or form, we certainly want to hear about it. This is our city, our town. This is where we live, and we just simply can't allow folks to come in and do things that impact the quality of life for our residents. So. All of us are committed to working to get Penteco, who's the company that operates the injection well, to do so in the confines of the permit that's been issued by the DEP. And right now, it appears that they don't seem to be doing so. And so we're going to be looking at that very closely, monitor truck traffic and things of that nature to make sure that they're operating within the confines that have been provided to them by the DEP. And as far as the water concerns, we're going to, obviously have to have those reported to the DEP so they can take appropriate action in that regard. That's the information on the injection well. And if any individuals have questions, they certainly can reach out to myself or any other members of council or the mayor if you have any additional questions or need any additional information. And like I said, we'll post a date for the next meeting here in December whenever we, solidify that date. Next item I wanted to discuss is related to the update for the Stormwater Task Force. The Stormwater Task Force did meet on October 28th. We discussed the status of the long-term solutions, both O Block and Center Beach, which are currently undergoing technical reviews for the NPDS permit, which was completed. There was a stall on the PEMA grant application due to lack of detail associated with the cost, risk, benefit, and impact analysis that was provided. And so the borough has sent letters to impacted residents to get some additional detail in order to support getting the approval of that particular grant. We went over a number of items that were completed, stormwater work that was completed since the last meeting, and this report will be posted on the stormwater section of the borough website for those folks who want to look at some of the details. And then we talked about some of the email messages that were sent by residents to the Stormwater Task Force related to flooding issues over on Chaparral Drive, Beach Road. We talked in detail about some aspects surrounding the language for the floodplain, the floodway, and the flood zone associated with obtaining insurance. And because that's such a complicated issue, and I'm not going to go into the details because I think we probably talked about it maybe for what, Dave, at least a half an hour? We're actually going to get some folks to touch base with the resident who had some issues related to that so that we can walk through some of the details associated with how they go about making determinations associated with being in one of those types of zones and how it ultimately affects the ability to, be qualified for certain programs associated with that. We also talked about public meetings. There was a request from a resident to bring up the topic of public meetings. And the task force overwhelmingly believes that the meeting should continue to be closed to the public and that information be provided during public meetings. One of the other items that was also brought up was related to the format for providing updates on our long-term stormwater projects. Some issues associated with there not being enough detail associated with the status of those projects was raised. And so we came up with a new format in which that information can be provided that discusses the projected start date for an action associated with the long-term plan, long-term project, the estimated completion dates, the next major action, who has the identified action, the estimated completion date, and a number of other detailed descriptive items associated with those actions, just so that we can be more transparent, so individuals know exactly what's happening from one month to the next with respect to the status of those long-term projects. And then the last item that we discussed was relative to the 2021 MS4 status report. There was some concern that that report may not have been submitted by the required date of September 30th. We went back and got that report from HRG, who had issued it on time. It was submitted by the required September 30th deadline, and a copy of that report was sent to all the task force members. And the task force believes that we should get HRG to come in and provide a detailed briefing associated with that MS4 report so we can understand the details associated with it. And then also, what were some of the status of the items that were discovered in the 2020 inspection report, so we can make sure that we have those items are working towards conclusion. So again, a lot of good information and items that were discussed on the task force, and we'll continue to keep folks updated with respect to the status via meeting minutes and public meetings. And that concludes my president's comments. We'll now move on to citizen comments on agenda items. I did not receive any, so we will now move on to council actions. On behalf of the Planning and Economic Development Committee, Mr. Vento.
Thank you, Mr. President. On behalf of the Planning and Economic Development Committee, I move to accept the Twyla Consolidation Plan, FSC 0721, as complete.
Motion by Mr. Vento.
Second.
Second by Mr. Hadley. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Also, on behalf of the committee, I move to award the bid for the demolition of 3 unsafe residential structures to Minifield Demolition Services, LLC, in the amount of $26,500.
Motion by Mr. Vento.
Second.
Second by Mr. Dern. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
On behalf of the committee, I motion to adopt resolution number 912-21, authorizing a grant application for the O Block Pond project.
Motion by Mr. Vento.
Second.
Second by Mr. Dern. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
On behalf of the committee, I motion to reapprove the Dominion Ferguson lot line revision.
Motion by Mr. Vento.
Second.
Second by Mr. Hadley. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Lastly, on behalf of the committee, I motion to adopt resolution number 913-21, authorizing a grant application for CDBG demolition funds through the Turtle Creek Valley Council of Government.
We have a motion by Mr. Vento.
Second.
Second by Mr. Dern. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Vento. On behalf of the Personnel and Management Committee, Mr. Hadley.
Thank you, Mr. President. On behalf of the Personnel and Management Committee, I move to approve a cost of living increase for a retired officer as recommended by the Borough Actuary.
Motion by Mr. Hadley.
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Vento. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, on behalf of the Personnel and Management Committee, I move to approve a cost of living increase for a second retired police officer as recommended by the Borough Actuary.
Motion by Mr. Hadley.
Second.
Second by Mr. Dern. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, on behalf of the Personnel and Management Committee, I'd like to make a motion to add to the agenda the resolution regarding actions of a council member.
We have a motion by Mr. Hadley to add an item to the agenda.
Second.
Second by Mr. Dern. Proceed with your motion, sir. Oh,
Okay.
we're asking the public if they have any comment
Yes.
since it was added to the agenda. Seeing none, sir, proceed with your action, or with your motion. Yes. Did we? I thought we did. No. Oh, okay, I'm sorry. We have a motion by Mr. Hadley to add an item to the agenda.
Seconded.
Second by Mr. Dern. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Now you may proceed with your motion, sir.
On behalf of the Personnel and Management Committee, I would like to make a motion to approve the resolution regarding actions of a council member.
Motion by Mr. Hadley.
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Vento. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
And that is all I have. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Hadley. On behalf of Public Safety, Mr. Dern.
Thank you, Mr. Odom. On behalf of the Public Safety Committee, I move to approve a mutual aid rescue agreement between the Borough of Plum and the Borough of Plum Volunteer Fire Departments.
Motion by Mr. Dern.
Second.
Second by Mr. I did it again. Mr. Doyle.
It's way down there.
Help me. Not for long.
Not for long, yeah. I know, it's my seat.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
It's my seat next month.
Motion
2 months, yeah, I know.
carries.
That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. On behalf of the Finance Committee, Mr. Doyle, who I can't seem to remember tonight.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Is he here?
On behalf of the Finance Committee, I'd move to advertise the 2022 proposed annual budget as presented by the Finance Committee and to place a copy of that proposed budget on public display in the Borough Building.
Motion by Mr. Doyle.
Second.
Second by Mr. Dern. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
On behalf of the Finance Committee, I move to advertise the 2022 earned income tax ordinance at a total rate of 1%.
Motion by Mr. Doyle.
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Dern. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
And I also move to advertise the 2022 local services tax ordinance at a total rate of $52 per year.
Motion by Mr. Doyle.
Second.
Second by Mr. Dern. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
And I'd just like to point out those last two, the 1% total rate and the $52 a year, that is just a renewal of the last few years. It's I can't remember the word I'm looking for right now.
Standard operating procedure.
That's close enough.
There's no increase. That's all you need is there's
Yeah,
no
that's right.
increase.
That ends my report, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Doyle.
And Mr. President, if you
Yes, sir.
excuse me, I'm going to take leave. I have a daughter at the annual Powder Puff game this evening, so folks, excuse me.
Yes, sir.
I apologize, I have to leave.
Proceed. Very important. Good luck.
Thanks.
That concludes council actions. Mayor's report. Mayor Slagle.
Thank you, Mr. President. During the month of October, we had 932 calls for service, and that's a decrease from the previous month. And you may have seen it on the news, but our Detective Moriarty, Dan Moriarty, was the lead investigator on a recent drug weapons bust. Street value was $500,000. And kudos to Dan, and he was part of a team. He won't take any credit, but he was the lead investigator on that. This will be the last month for the ATS radar displays because batteries wear out when it gets cold. That doesn't mean you can speed. It was on Trestle Road, for example, for the month of October, and collected these. I'm always amazed at the amount of traffic on these roads. 4,137 vehicles on Trestle Road, and the average speed was about 2 miles below, 2.2 miles below. However, some idiot decided to do 57 mile per hour. It was also on New Texas Road through October. 53,500 vehicles, and that's one way. And over the 30-day period, the height of speed was, and that's a 25 mile an hour zone, an idiot decided to do 60 mile an hour. On Halton Road, from September 6th through October 5th, 64,200 vehicles, one way. Average of the posted speed limit is 25 mile an hour, and some idiot had to do 72. O'Block Road from October 5th through October 30th, 17,850 vehicles. 25 mile an hour road, speed limit, 70 an idiot decided to do. I just don't see what, particularly O-Block. I mean, you've got stop signs there. I just don't understand why people need to do what they're doing. And you might notice that this month Our police officers are looking a bit, I'll be polite, scruffy. This is No Shave November. And all of our officers, and I say all, we have our lone female officer, donated $50. The officers donated $50 each, paid $50 each to grow hair on their face. And that money went to the Plum Food Pantry, and that was in the amount of $1,100. The chief is going to, and all officers are participating, and as I said, even Officer Iacchini, our female officer, made a donation. That is going over. The chief has decided that we'll have a no-shave December. So, well, you could go in. But I'm not going to join that group. And now I want to get to thoughtful citizens. And again, I say this all the time. We have some wonderful people here in the community. Karen and Raymond Drosky live over on Lynn End, and a assortment of homemade muffins for the officers. And again, after all this, I still have not gotten an invite. Mark Gillette provided from Gideon's International, gave all of our officers pocket Bibles. And again, Mike Cerniglia of Michael's Painting, again, he brought in his monthly birthday cake for all the officers who are celebrating their birthdays that month. And finally, I want to give a shout out to all my brothers and sisters. This Thursday who served our country. This Thursday is Veterans Day. And I recognize those individuals because we all raised our hands and signed a blank check payable up to and including our lives. Some were cashed, some were partially cashed. And for that, I'm thankful. And for those who you don't know, Mr. Odom and I joke back and forth. Mr. Odom, I'd like to thank you for your service, both to our country and to our community.
Thank
My
you, sir.
opinion, unfortunately, a lot of the leaders on the state and federal level have never served in the military and taken that oath. And consequently, we have the issues we have today. That's all I have, sir.
Thank you, Mayor. And likewise, thank you for your service, sir. Even if it was in the Marine Corps and mine was in the Navy. Like to point that out. But yeah, I mean, definitely this Veterans Day, I think we should all, definitely take a moment to stop, thank a vet for their service if they have the opportunity. It's one of the things that makes this country so great is the fact that we have great veterans that have served. So moving on with our agenda, committee reports. The Intergovernmental Cooperative Committee with the Plum School District. I did not receive any information from members of the school board. So we'll move on to the Finance Committee. Mr. Doyle.
Thank you, Mr. President. Before I read the report, I'd like to say, I'd like to ask for forgiveness. I don't have a printout of it. It's on my phone, so I'm going to have to be doing a lot of moving around. I do not stutter, but I do have a reading problem here tonight, so forgive me. The Finance Committee report for November 9th, 2021. General Fund highlights for the month of October 2021. The borough recognized revenues totaling $590,156 and incurred expenditures in the amount of $1,104,936. Regarding the revenues, to date, we have received $3,954,000 in current year-end real estate tax revenues, and this represents 93% of the adopted budget. During the month of October, the borough received $148,000 under earned income taxes, and we are currently at 83% of that budget. A total of $184,000 was received against the sanitation current line, and it is currently at 81% of budget. Overall revenues continue to trend slightly above budget. Regarding the expenditures, through the month of October, the borough has expended 78% of the budget, or $10,771,000. From a departmental standpoint, we continue to have no current budget concerns, and overall expenditures are trending below budget. The finance director and the borough manager met with department heads to review their 2022 budget submissions. A Finance Committee meeting was held on October 26th in preparation for the proposed budget presentation to council. After analyzing next year's cash flow positions, it was determined that the borough's tax anticipation note for 2022 will be $1.5 million. And I'd also like to say that the cash flow has been so good this year that we didn't even draw a dime off of the TAN note, which is good. It's basically just an insurance policy out there for when we have cash flow issues. And that ends my report.
Thank you, sir. Roads, Equipment, and Grounds. For Mr. Pastor, we have Mr. Vento.
Thank you, Mr. President. Department of Public Works and Roads and Infrastructure as of October 21st, or October 2021st. The paving contractor has completed the paving project. There are some punch list issues that need to be resolved. Engineering is having issues with the contractor completing punch list items. The contractor for the Holiday Park Stormwater Project has completed the work. There are some minor punch list items that need completed. The Center New Texas Road Culvert Project is scheduled to begin the first week of November. The contractor anticipates this project to take 3 weeks. Road maintenance. We have completed inlet repairs on the following streets: Balkan Drive, Foxtail Drive, Lace Bark Court. We completed the restoration at 1815 O Block Road, where we replaced pipe inlets and head wall. This included topsoil seeding and replacement of part of the asphalt driveway. They replaced 140 feet of pipe on Tahoe Drive from inlet to manhole and lawn area. This required partial removal of 2 driveways and replacement. We installed 190 feet of 6-inch underdrain on Miller's Lane. This will alleviate water issue on the roadway. Several sinkholes reported were filled with stone or fenced for safety concerns. Due to the time of the year, these won't be addressed until next year. The reason for the delay is complexity of several of the projects. We have done extensive tree trimming of the right-of-ways along Logan's Ferry area, Stotler Road, Barking Road, and we'll be starting on Ligonier Lane, weather permitting. Public Works Supervisor and 4 employees attended an MS4 seminar. This goes as credit to our current permit. The 4 employees involved are the most active with our pond maintenance crew. We are continuing working on MS4 inspections. We have started work on some of our retention ponds and bioretention areas that were called out in our pond inspections. This will be an ongoing area of work for this department. We have ordered and installed street signs with a new logo and for different areas. Leaf collection has begun in the 12th of October. We started with only 1 unit, increased to 2 units by the end of the month. We will increase to 3 units as the volume of fallen leaves increase. Scheduled leaf pickup follows regularly scheduled garbage day. We have begun milling and asphalt patching in various locations. They installed new street signs where necessary due to poor reflectivity or damage. Removed any unnecessary signs that were found. They also installed 96 tons of asphalt on various projects, and we had a total of 4 hours of overtime for the month. That's the report. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Vento. Public Safety, Mr. Dern.
Thank you, Mr. Odom. Mr. Maloney, if you'd come forward, read your report from Plum EMS, please.
All right, thank you, Councilman Dern. Brian Maloney, Director of Operations, Plum EMS. As always, I appreciate the opportunity to get a chance to talk up here. For the month of October, similar to the police, we also had an extremely busy month. We responded to 294 calls and transported 175 patients. This is the most number of patients we transported in almost 3 years. So the numbers are going up. With that, the number of times that we actually needed mutual aid to come into Plum, like our neighboring agencies, to help us out, only occurred 10 times. We actually ended up responding to neighboring communities 34 times throughout the month. So it kept us busy. Along with everything else that we were doing as far as running the emergency calls, we continued to have a busy month. First, I'd like to thank the school district. They invited Plum EMS to attend the Rachel's Challenge kickoff. And this was an extremely impactful experience. I got to hear the father of one of the very first victims of the Columbine shooting talk about what happened to his daughter and the program he got started because of it. An incredible experience that the school district is doing with that. We also had an extremely busy month working with the Holy Family Parish doing CPR training and AED use. Between them and our normal CPR classes that we do, we trained over 100 people last month. So very busy there. Thanks to the Plum Community Center, we're working with them. Next week, we're going to be doing the homebound COVID-19 booster vaccines. These folks that are pretty much homebound, but still want to be able to see their family, have people come over, and so we're doing that. Once again, we're doing it free of charge. It takes at least 3 paramedics, if not more, to be able to go out and do this, and it takes at least 8 to 10 hours. So it's a very time-consuming process. And then lastly, we're still collecting toys for the Stuff a Bus event that they hold at the school district. We started at the Fall Fest. We're going to be there out there for the Christmas at Plum Creek Park as well. We got boxes set up there. I know the fire departments are working with us on this. The police department, the borough, Henna Healthcare and Longwood at Oakmont. We're going to have 2 boxes set up there. So we really hope we can help achieve the goal of obtaining 1,000 toys is what the school district's shooting for. So, questions, comments, good stories to make me smile? All right, I'll take it. So thank you very much. Y'all have a good night.
Thanks,
you.
Brian.
Thanks, Brian.
That's my report, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dern. Planning and Economic Development, Mr. Vento.
Thank you, Mr. President. On behalf of the Planning and Economic Development, financial summary for the month. There were 206 permits issued and $19,240 in review. The Planning Commission did not meet in October. Zoning Hearing Board met on October 20th and reviewed the following applications. ZHB-2021-13 was a request from Davidson Road Properties, LLC, owner of 431 Davidson Road, Lot and Block 853-A-348, zoned LI, Light Industrial, for a use by special exception for the expansion of a non-conforming use for the expansion of a self-storage facility. The Zoning Hearing Board granted the use by special exception contingent upon a unification of the lots. Activity summary, the highlights. Budget review meetings with the borough manager and the finance director. Met with a resident from Renton Road concerning a consolidation plan. A pre-construction meeting was held for Veltree's Italian Kitchen on Coxcomb Hill Road. Staff attended a hearing at the magistrate's office. A final site inspection was completed for Aroma Joe's on Route 286. And they met with the PennDOT representatives concerning various issues. GIS-related information includes updates to the commercial layer and garbage layer, the addition of mining and gas well data, as well as the creation of a map for Christmas at Plum Creek. Grant work for the Center Beach Project, CDBG demolitions, and the O-Block Pond Project. Code enforcement addressed several complaints concerning abandoned vehicles, junk and debris, high grass, open burning, and stormwater damage. And they responded to a residential fire call on Oak Road. That's all I have for tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Vento. And that concludes our committee reports. Oh, I'm sorry. We have Parks and Recreation, Mr. Delaney, who is not here today. But I do have one item I'd like to bring up, which is the event, Christmas at Plum Creek Park. That will occur on Thursday, December 2nd from 5:30 to 9 p.m. We will have a number of activities going on at the Christmas at Plum Creek event. Santa will be there in the flesh. We will have holiday music, free hot chocolate, food trucks, and then crafts and games for the kids. In addition to that, there will be free round-trip shuttle buses that will be available from both Plum High School, St. John's Church, and Amplified Church. So for those of you who may be looking to get a shuttle over to Plum Creek Park, you can get one from those locations. Again, Christmas at Plum Creek Park, Thursday, December 2nd from 5:30 to 9 p.m. The Planning Commission will not meet in November, and that brings us to citizens' comments on non-agenda items. No one signed up, but that certainly doesn't preclude anyone from coming up and making a statement if they have one. Okay. Okay, seeing none, can we get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
I'll second.
Excuse me.
Motion by Mr. Doyle, second by Mr. Vento. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We are adjourned.
Yes, sir. Thank you, brother. 10 for 5. Sorry. Oh. Thank you. I haven't seen one like this. I've seen quite a few, but I haven't seen one like this. Thank you.